Hello, this is Tanya, targeted in Melissa, Texas. I didn't have any plans on doing a video at all, but I thought I would report what just happened. So my kids and I are in my room reading the Bible, and we're taking turns, and all of a sudden you hear the garage. But we weren't sure what it was at first. And so me and my son jumped up and went towards the garage. We opened the garage door. The garage is up. I have an app to my phone, so it tells me someone opened the garage. But it was not us that opened the garage because we are all reading. No one's has the remote on them. I'm not on my remote thing, to open or close the garage or none of that. I'm the only one with the remote on my phone. And the remote, I have a handheld remote that's in the car. So we're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Oh my goodness. So then we push the garage door open back down. We push it down. And we're just it's just the weird things that have been going on. Last week, because my grass wasn't cut properly, they sent me a paper from the National Guards, the armed guards, because of the grass. I'm confused of when they start calling National Guards because of the lawn. So it's just all of this really weird stuff. In COVID, when I start going through this and I signed up for the Section 8 thing, and then the Section 8 finally came through and they're you can move it wherever. I thought that was a good thing, but see, as though I don't think it's a good thing, because it seems like when I first got out here to Dallas, we stayed in Airbnbs. So I had some money saved up from the COVID, from unemployment. So I was able to pay for Airbnbs and things of that nature. So it took us roughly a month to find a place and to get into a place. But what I want to say is they're always a step ahead because they're watching from somewhere. So now what I know is that so if I'm online actively looking for a place to move to, or if I look up a site, affordable housing through the Section 8 thing, if you look it up, then it seems you'll start finding all kind of places, because now they're alerted that you're looking for a house. And so I think that they're alerted that when you start looking for houses, and they put all kind of devices in the home, and then whatever house you decide to go with, the government's probably paying them to rent to you, and then you get inside the home and they're watching you in the home. They have audio, visual. They're watching. I know they're watching me and my kids. This is the dark web, right? Because it's illegal. And so that means they watch us when we shower. I have teen kids. They know when we're leaving, when we're at home. It's just it's sad. This is sad, and it's really depressing. It's all of these sites, they run together. How do I explain this? Okay, so if you have affordable housing is one site, right? They run that. If you go get an Airbnb, even when I got the Airbnbs, I'm sure that they run that together, right? So they run Airbnb, they run the Section 8, they run if you get on Facebook for something. So you're looking for, say you're looking for a dog. They know you're on Facebook looking for a dog. They'll start posting certain dogs. These people are crazy. They run every little thing. They're in cahoots with. They run everything. So they run everything. They know certain things because they're watching. They run everything. Just when I got out here and I started going to church. First, I started going to T.D. Jakes' church. I didn't know what church to go to. Started trying to find a church. I went to a couple different churches. Started going to his church. I'm sure that they knew that I was online looking up churches and finding addresses to attend churches. And so They follow me to the churches. Like, they're following me everywhere. So it's like they're already sitting, set into place. That's why it's so hard when you're going through this. You have to have discernment when you meet people, because when you go through this, you don't know, you have to really pray to God and ask God to help you, because you don't know who's sent by who. Because say you're a member of a church, or you become a new member of a church. Now you got to think, they already got people in place. So now they're going to church faithfully like you going to church. So that means what? They're trying to befriend you, all this stuff. And then you might become friends with somebody. Like, this is just, it's wild. It's crazy, because I don't know what I did to, like, because in my mind, like, once I finished with the ex and I moved, it was kind of like, okay, I'm in my own little bubble. I'm in my own little world. But now lately, I don't know if it's because I kind of was talking to other TIs, not as much, but I was just a little bit talking to TIs. And I think that, I don't know if it's because me talking to TIs, or because I read the Bible with my kids, or what exactly is it, but I noticed that things start to ramp up a little bit more. But it's kind of different than it was before, but it's still happening. Things are they're still taking shots. It's so crazy and weird. Like, it's just weird. Like, I can remember when I first got to Dallas and I took my kids to the zoo. And I thought we were going to have a great time. But at the zoo, I was gang stalked heavily at the zoo. And they had security at the zoo, security literally following us everywhere we went. And I remember getting my kids some Dippin' Dots. So we were the only ones in line. We went to go get the Dippin' Dots. And it was like a younger white girl. She could have been about maybe 18, 19, 17, 18, 19. And it was like she was almost robotic. And I remember her saying, enjoy the rest of your days. Enjoy the rest of your days. And it was like, what? That's so weird. Me and my kids just look at each other like, that was weird. Like, who says that to somebody? It wasn't like enjoy the rest of your day. It was enjoy the rest of your days. It's just certain things. Like, it just, I can't explain it. I can't explain it, but if you haven't been through this, then you wouldn't know. Or it just depends on, if you are going through this, what part of your targeting are you going through? Are you going through the mobbing when you go to the store and everybody rushes the store? Are you going through them where you're out somewhere and they're repeating your conversations? Are you going through the part where they're moving stuff around in your house or poisoning you? Are you going through the part where they're messing with your vehicle nonstop and you have to constantly take it in to get serviced, and you're taking it in to get serviced, and then they're messing with something else as they're servicing the car? And when you take it in to go get serviced and you leave your keys, they're making copies of your keys and all that stuff. Like, what part of your targeting are you in? Like, are you getting targeted by like a fake friend or a person that you think you could have a relationship with, and they've been sent to target you? Like, what part of the targeting are you in? Like, are you part of the targeting where you go everywhere and they're laughing in your face? Are you at part of the targeting where they stare at you crazy like you did something personal to them? Like, it's so many things. Like, I'm just like, oh. And I hate to be complaining, because that's what it sounds like, just complaining. But I don't know. I don't want to complain. I want to just, like I said, I keep saying I need to tell my testimony. And so I can put it out there, and then I can just praise the Lord how I want to praise the Lord. Because I feel like reporting on TI stuff is like, to me, it just mentally keeps me bound. The more I report on targeted individual stuff, the more it feels and seems like I'm bound to the situation. I think now that we have so many targets talking about the same exact thing, that I don't think it's really going to help anyone. I don't think it's really helping anyone. I personally don't think it helps anyone. I don't. Because if you listen, it sounds repetitive. It sounds almost the same scenarios, just with different individuals. It's the street theater. It's every time you go out, you see, first I see the white car, then it's the red car. Then when I go out, it's the ambulance passing by. And then it's this, it's that. It's police, close by me, but he doesn't stop me, he pulls someone else over. It's like, just the weirdness. The weirdness. It's just weird. Like, I don't want to keep focusing on that, but I know that's what I'm living. I want to graduate from being targeted individual. I want to, like, pray for other people, pray for myself, get deliverance, help deliver other people. Like, I just think just study reporting on targeted individual just keeps a person paranoid and stuck in a cycle. That's what I believe. But maybe it might be some part of healing or something. I don't know. Why do I want to talk about it all day if I actually live it all day? This is something I live all day. But for a while, things weren't like this, was not happening. The last time that there was an incident that I had was when this pastor Samuel E. Malambe had came. But it wasn't this time, because I missed his thing that he had recently. But it was like maybe 2 months ago when he came to Dallas. And I had got us a motel room. We had drove like about an hour away to go. I drove like an hour away and went to this church, and we stayed in the motel room, and then that next morning we drove back. And when we drove back the next morning, lo and behold, the back door is open. It's unlocked, it's open. So it's like, dang, did I leave this door open? No, being a target, you don't leave your stuff unlocked. That's one thing you do. You're going to make sure you lock your stuff. You're going to make sure, because now you're hip to things like that. So I'm like, I know I didn't leave this back door unlocked. I'm like asking my kids, and my kids did leave the back door unlocked. You know how I remember? Because they were in the car waiting on me. I was the last to get to the car because I was making sure that I had locked everything up. But no one really knows how this stuff feels, because so I spend this money that I legitimately did not have, but I spent it anyways because I know me and my kids need deliverance. So I'm thinking we're going to get deliverance. It don't really happen how I thought it was going to happen, but because it was something fighting me in the spirit anyway. But anyways, and it manifests totally different in the physical. But anywho, so we come back and someone had been in the house, and now it's like, I spent all my money doing this. Now our food 9 times out of 10 is contaminated. So I start throwing, certain things out and certain things away, which I've done plenty of times. It's not like I can call someone and like be like, hey, do you think you can loan me like $200 or $300 or, I don't have that. I don't have that. Don't have it. Oh goodness. And it's not like I'm too good where I couldn't go to a food bank. I don't prefer to go to a food bank, but it's not like I would not go. I have been before in my past. But it's like, I'm so far out, it would cost so much gas money just to get way back over on the side of town to get any of that. I don't even know where it's at, but I'm assuming. I don't think it's nothing to where I'm at. But I don't know. This is a mess. Like, I don't know. You know, I pray to God. It's, and like some people could be like, how are you steady believing in God and Jesus and your life is lived so poorly and you don't have anything to show for your life and this and this and that. Yes, I've made a lot of mistakes. I have lived a not so great of a life as far as decisions go. But God is all that I have. He's all that I have. And to be honest, God has told me the truth about a lot of things. He pointed out people to me and he told me about them and I did not listen. And so since I did not listen, I got beat down by the devil and his crew. I got beat up. I took a couple bad hits. But he's all that I have. He's literally all that I have for me and my kids. He's been protecting us up to, like, there's no one I have. There's, of course I wish we had more and things were easier for us and someone, in the physical was here to kind of like help and protect and help provide and all that. But I was just born, this is God's whole thing, like Jesus, like a lot of people don't like Jesus and a lot of people want to say how better they are of a prophet or how better of a servant they are of Jesus and Jesus was good in his time and all this stuff. But I've been through a lot. I've been through some real stuff. I've been through this thing called life. Just like Jesus has walked through it. I went through it. I walked through it and I failed. I messed up. Jesus did not fail. He did not mess up. He did not sin. He did not sin. And he was going, he did have the 12 disciples though. So he did have some help. But even, one of them betrayed him. So it's kind of like, I do wish God would send me somebody to help in the physical. That would be great. But now going through all this stuff, it's kind of like the devil did a heck of a job with this gang stalking him and his group of people. Because you got to think, like, even if someone does come along in your life, you have to have precise discernment. Because it could cost you, like it almost cost me before. It set me back really bad. So, and not saying I need anyone, but I would love to have someone in my life to, like, this is a lot to be going through, especially, I can't go sit and tell a therapist all this stuff. She not going to really, she could be a part of it, she could not be a part of it. She's not going, I can't go sit and tell her all this stuff. They all work together. I get to telling her certain things, this and that. For sure she's going to try to lock me up somewhere. This is wild. This is so wild. So, only person that's going to believe and get me is a prophet of God, a child of God, or someone that is going through the exact same thing. Because the devil's job is to do exactly what he's doing now, keeping us secluded and away from other people. Yes, there is a point where God does need to keep us away and we need to learn and do things. But he also wants us to fellowship with others. And how is he going to send anyone in to help? It doesn't have to necessarily be your mate or anything. It could be a friend, anybody. How is he going to send someone in to help if you can't trust no one? You won't let nobody in. Oh my goodness. Whatever this program is, it does not discriminate. Because I'm like, well, it's like as if they try to make me like a gangster or something. They try to turn me into a gangster or something, or I don't know what they try to do, because it's like I've been up against going through this whole targeting thing. They took someone nice, sweet, goofy, silly, and this ain't nice. Like, I'm not like a gangster. Like, I'm not gangster. But going through this, it's like you become gangster in some kind of way, because it's like the sweet, nice, innocent kind of person I was, they didn't strip that away, because they having like real gangsters after me. When it was really like thugged out, like a couple years ago, it was like if they took the top gangsters out of every hood, all the killers out of every hood, if they took at least about a good 50 of them from every hood across America, from the most dangerous parts of America, and sent them up against me. That's kind of what that's what it felt like, at least. It was like, what? I go somewhere, you got skinheads, you got Crips, thugged out Crips, you got Bloods, you got gangster girls, you got the whole nine. Then you got school moms, you got FBI, CIA, police. You had every walk of life a person up against me, up against my life. And I'm like, huh? Like, what? Like, wait a minute. What is going on? Like, and they cold with it. And I come a long way, because I am authentically a goofy, silly person by nature. And they kind of like woke me up from that a lot, because they was coming at me with no love. Like, they was coming at me like I like personally did something to them, like on sight type of thing. Like, I'm gonna get you on sight type of energy. And it'd be like, whoa, this energy is crazy. Like, what did I do? Like, what? Like, the feeling I would get just didn't feel good from the other people. But now I'm out of that. I'm out of that. So it's levels to this. It's real levels to this. It's a lot to this, but it's levels to this thing. So I'm out of that stage. That was probably the most, because you really don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. You just feel the energy is so off. The energy is so off, and it's nothing but hate you getting from them. It's not like a kind smile. It's not like a hi, how you doing? It's like like they hate you. And it's not just one of them that you getting this energy from. It was several of them I was getting this energy from. But I think what kept getting me, like, where I kind of was letting my guards down, or kind of fell off or fell back, was because it was so much, and I would take it out on myself. So now it's so much that now I'm taking things out on myself. So now actually the devil's getting me to work against myself. So, about 4 years ago, it's like, oh, this is so stressful. Let me go get a drink. And I had stopped drinking. I don't no longer drink. I've been sober for about 4 years. But it was like, I had been sober at that point for like maybe, I want to say about 3.5 years. About 3.5 years, three and a half to going on 4 years. I was sober at that point. And the more they came at me, it was like, this is crazy. I'm about to, you know what? Finally, it was like, I'm about to go get me a drink. Once I start that drink cycle, that's when I let the ex come back. And that's when the ex almost killed me dead. And since that point, It's been about 4 years. So it's like, okay, don't give the devil ammunition to work against you. Okay. But it does matter, because if you keep messing up, going into sin, that's going to come up. You're going to pay for doing that against yourself. So you're going to falter. You're going to pay on that on your own. But so it's kind of like helping the devil get over on you. But if the devil and his workers are coming against you, you just stay true to yourself and stay true to God. And I had to learn that. But it's still it's still a lot of pressure, but you still got to do it. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about none of this. I don't even know what to say no more about none of this stuff. Like, I didn't believe that I was going to be a 47-year-old woman going through all of this stuff. Because I had sobered up, back then, and I was working, and I had went to rehab, and I had did all these things and got, my kids, and I had turned over a new leaf. So I thought, but the people around me that were acting like they were my support were a part of this whole thing against me. So I guess God showed me in so many ways that I really didn't have no one but him. Really didn't have no one but him. I mean, like, for real, for real. So it's a whole mental thing to go from having a support group of people, family members, friends, lovers, even had counselors, social workers. I thought, I had a group of people that supported me. But when that same group of people, God showed me that were against me, and they were on one accord for the one world order. They were on one accord. It was a setup after setup after setup, and I didn't know I was getting setup after setup after setup. Because the guy, and it's always been about a guy, right, with me. So the guy that I was drunk with, that I thought we were together, and we bonded over alcohol. This is how weak I was. I had a kid with him that he molested my kids. He would beat me. He molested my kids, but I didn't find out about this until they got taken away. But I didn't even know how deep this whole situation was. Then not only, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe he might be part of the 13 families or whatever families there is that run the world. But the police came against me. The CPS came against me. My whole family came against me. Because they were protecting the fact that he molested my kids. I went to the police station to go tell on him that he molested my kids. They said they didn't have enough evidence. But they'll keep the case open till they're 40-some years old. I didn't know that they sold us into the black market. So he set me up, got with me. I was addicted to alcohol and drugs. He got with me, set me up. He got with me. He was working, I now know, because this is what I've put together. No one has came and told me this, but from going through all this targeted individual stuff, this is what I've gathered on my own discernment from God. So he worked with CPS, unbeknownst to me. He sold my kids and sold me into human trafficking to the CPS system, because this is what you call this, right? So now it makes sense why CPS was following me. CPS workers have been following me. All the police people stalking and harassing me. All the government officials stalking and harassing me. Because they sold me and my kids because they want to enslave us. They want to sell my kids for sex. What do you think they're doing when they're recording you in your home? My kids are underage. I know they're recording me. I know they have recordings here. Everywhere I've been moving to, I know they've been recording. So that means they're watching your children naked. Someone has this. It's documented somewhere. It's video of this. There's audio of me and my kids. There's video of me and my kids. And I pray that God bring it out to the forefront. I have to think, why am I going through all this? What is really the thing? I have to really use my mind to understand all of this. This is some real stuff. I'm just thinking maybe it's just a girl whose boyfriend I used to talk to or something like that. Like something little, like, okay. No, this is huge. So the CPS people are taking kids. Now, the mainstream people think, are witness. They look at the parents like, oh, the parents is bad, the parents is wrong, the parents this, the parents that. In reality, the CPS people are the evil ones that's really doing the wicked stuff here. And who are the CPS people, right-hand people? The police. Because how can somebody go remove your kids out of the home? They come with the police officers. So I was able to see their hand, their cards. They are cahoots together. They're one world order. CPS, Child Protective Services, and the police work together to do demonic stuff to people's families and their children's. This is what my whole scandal's been about for me and my kids. I don't know what anybody else's thing has been about, but I now know what mine has been about and what it's been based on. These people are selling people to the CPS system. Me and my kids have been sold to the CPS system. I want this information out. I want to tell my story. I want it out so that I can praise God, so my kids can praise God. This is not something that's in my head. It's not a joke, and it's not a game. Now I understand why the attacks have been so vicious. I'm like, why I have to go through this? Why I gotta be up against this? Why y'all gotta make an example of me? I don't want to go through this with these people. It's something different having a feud with a female in the hood. But going through this with these people, it's like, okay, this is me and my kids. They're doing this to several different people. And I don't think a lot of people are speaking out about it because they're terrified and they're scared, and they should be. But we know fear does not come from the Lord. going through this stuff. And like, yeah, I could pray to God and all this stuff, but I'm going through this, hardly no income, no money. As you know, being a target individual, it's hard. Your cars are breaking down 9 times out of 10. You got to constantly buy food and stuff because you don't know if someone came in your home, if they tampered with it. It's just hard. You got to pre-plan things, you know. Like, I really wanted to go to this deliverance conference a couple weeks ago, but it was like I just didn't have the money. My car's been acting up. I didn't want to get way out there. You know, I wanted to go for every day. So that means I would have to have enough money to get a hotel room to stay out there. Then I know that if I went out there and stayed out there with me and my kids for the 2 or 3 days, because we all need deliverance, I risk the people running in my house doing tampering with food or whatever they tamper with, medications, food. Then I have to go buy all new stuff. And it's just like, this is a lot. That's why God say pray over all your stuff. That's why you got to pray over everything. So you got to pray over all your food. Everything you get, you got to pray over it. Because the enemy is constantly coming. The enemy is constantly jugging. Then I got hit really bad going through this from the ex. And it's like, okay, they did enough damage. I messed up. I was uncovered by the Lord. When I went back, got uncovered by the Lord, they were able to they almost took me smooth out. I've been suffering. My body's been suffering, still trying to heal. I was in critical condition, not even being in the hospital. That's how critical I was. And why I didn't go to the hospital? Because I can't trust the hospital people. You know, it's the craziest thing, right? Because, and I want to tell my story a little bit better, but it's the craziest thing because now when I was with this, let me tell you how crazy this situation is. Okay, so when I was with this ex or whatever, right, I came back in, and God, I was at church, and the pastor had told me, had called the dude out by name, and was like, when he calls you out the blue, don't go back to him. He doesn't know what love is. He's coming to destroy you. But I continued to mess with him anyway. He manifests, turned into a whole devil, demonic, all this stuff. And I remember after we had like finally separated, broke up, like separated, because we were supposed to get married, but I had seen that demon manifest, and I was like, I can't marry him. I told my daughter something weird happened, like I couldn't marry him. And we had like, he had moved out, and like a couple weeks had passed, but then he slowly like befriended me, and we could start hanging out with each other just a little bit. And I was still waiting on my Section 8 thing so I could leave, but so that's when he tried to kill me. But he probably was trying to kill me up to that point, and I just didn't know. He probably poisoned me all the way up there. He poisoned my body pretty bad. You know, my body is pretty beat up from the poison, but you know, something had told me to go. I was poisoned really bad. I was scared to go to the emergency room, hospital, all that. I just kept crying out to God, praying to God. I know I was hurt bad, like really bad. You know, my body is still trying to recoup from that, and that's going on 4 years now. But I remember I felt like he was yucky, he was nasty, because I know when I was with him, right? And I kept going to the emergency room. Like, this was before I had knew that he had poisoned me, till it was to this point to where he had manifest to put all this. This was like kind of earlier on. And I would go to the emergency room because my stomach would hurt bad. But I thought they were lying. Because I was there like, oh, you just have what's it? Vaginosis, BV. And I went like maybe 2 times I had went. It was BV. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out like, why would I keep getting BV? But I'm like, it's got to be something worse than BV because my body was feeling bad. So I was like, you know how like you're a target and you're like, oh, they're lying, they're lying, they're lying. So I just was like, they're lying. Something really got to be going on. They're lying. So that's why, I have more distrust for the doctors and everything. They're like, oh, you have maybe you're just not wiping properly or something like that. Or you with a different a partner or something else. Like, no. So, and I was living in fornication. That's another thing. That's why I'm in fornication. So, anywho. So, after he poisons me real bad, I'm scared. I'm trying to leave the town because they're full out trying to kill me. And so I leave and I notice they're following me all the way from Nevada to Texas. I'm so messed up. It took me like 4 or 5 days to get here with my kids. And we literally stopped like about every 4 to 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours. And I would either get a motel room, Airbnb, something just to rest because my body was that messed up. So I remember going to like, I don't know if it was CVS, Walgreens or whatever. And I had brought one of those, something was telling me in my spirit to get a HIV test. So I went and got the HIV swab test, took it, it came out negative. So I remember that when I finally got out here, I finally got settled into a place, I was having all these bad dreams, but I remember this one dream in particular that I had. So I had this dream, and in the dream, it was like I was living in this apartment complex, and it was my oldest daughter, and I was pregnant. I was pregnant, and she ended up eating my rice. I had fried rice. She ended up eating my rice, and I was choking her because I was mad she ate my rice. And then I had went to the emergency room and I gave birth, but the baby was dead, so I had a stillborn baby, right? And then I remember going back to the apartment, and I remember the people knocking on my door, and it was 2 ladies, and they were saying, we're going to need you to go take a HIV test. They called me out by my first and last name. They said, Betty Wise. The piece of paper had my name on it. And they said, Betty Wise, and you need to go take this HIV test. And once you take it, give us a copy of it. And once you do that, we're going to furnish your whole house, your whole apartment, your whole house. And I had never had a dream like this. This dream was so like real. Like I could remember everything about the dream. Like this dream was real. So I was really scared. Like I was convicted. I was scared. So I remember that was like months ago from this, but I remember like, I think in September, I don't know if it's September or November, it's like AIDS testing time or whatever. But I remember like a couple months had passed by. I still didn't go take another test. A couple months had passed by, and I went inside of like Walgreens, and they were doing like, they had the thing for like AIDS testing, HIV testing. But I seen the sign, and I didn't want to go take it, but it convicted me. Something in my spirit had convicted me about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so weird. And then every time I would watch something, somebody was saying something about HIV, AIDS, or whatever. And so it was just really a weird thing, right? So I sat in this house with these kids, months passed by. And let me try to think. So I'm watching the pastor, Samuel E. Malambe. This is why I was so stoked on this pastor, because when I start watching this prophet, he started prophesying about my life. Like it would be like almost at least 3 times a week I would tune into him. he was giving me a prophecy of my life. And I've never had that happen where somebody was that current. And it wasn't just that he was doing, it was like he was calling out names. He was giving out so much details that it was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So one time, he's prophesying and he's like, there's someone that, someone that thinks of one of their daughter's friends by the name of Jaden as their daughter. And that person, whoever that person is, it's a female. You were with the guy and you guys broke up and then you guys got back together. And when you guys got back together, he gave you something. He didn't tell you that he had it. He gave it to you, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like, oh my gosh. So that's in my head. So now I'm getting this, dream, that thing, this. I'm getting convicted every time I see HIV or AIDS or someone says something about it's making me feel away. So I'm like, let me just go. I got to go get tested. So I go to the emergency room out here. Now, I go into the emergency room and I tell the man, I was like, look, I really haven't been feeling good. I don't know what's going on with my system. Because remember I told you, since he tried to kill me and they tried to kill me, and I know doctors are involved, and every time I did go prior, they just kept telling me it was BV, what was wrong with my system. So I'm like, I'm skeptical of the doctors. I'm skeptical of everybody because everybody's involved in this stuff, right? Because this is how big their program is, right? So I go to the emergency room and I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on with my system. I don't feel so good. I haven't been to the doctor for a while. I just don't feel good. I'm telling him these symptoms I'm having. And I'm like, look, can you test me for HIV/AIDS? Because I could possibly have it. I'm not telling him I had a dream. I'm not telling him that the apostle had prophesied something like that. Because the apostle never said what it could be or what it was. But I just assumed from the dream and from the conviction that this could be it, right? So I got my paperwork and stuff, thank God. But I go get tested. And I asked him to test me also for hepatitis. All the hepatitis, I'm asking him. So I got it. I'm going to see if I can find my paper and I'll probably post it. But so I go get these tests done. And it came back negative. He's like, okay, well, I got to tell you that you do not have HIV, you do not have hepatitis. Those are negative. But you have a sinus infection, a really bad sinus infection. So he gave me he didn't even give me antibiotics. He gave me some other type of things. Like, it wasn't antibiotics, but it was like, I guess the next step from antibiotics. I can't think of the name of it, but anyways. So part of me was like happy. But then the other part of me really was not happy, because this thing is so big. Like, in my mind, I've been through so much stuff with this whole gang stalk. And what if they're lying? What if these people are lying? They know I know a lot of truth about a lot of things. What if they're lying? And they just don't want to give me care or anything. You know what I mean? That's what I think. But then I have to put it in God's hands and not think that way, right? I don't know why I had that weird dream. I don't know why the apostle said that, unless he was talking about the BV that the guy kept giving me that I kept going to go get cured for. That's an antibiotic thing. But that ex, the one that tried to kill me, that kept giving me the BB, he was obviously having affairs with other women. He was also living a totally different lifestyle than what I thought he was living. So that's why you have to be careful, because they send people from your past in. But I didn't think that he was coming to harm me, because I had knew him for so many years. But they send people from your past. They do send honey. Was it honey traps or whatever? They do send those. And you have to use discernment. You know? And a lot of people say like, oh, you don't want to go through this. People don't understand when you're being targeted. Well, at least I know it's lonely. So yeah, I would love to have someone, even if it could be a female friend that was just on my level, and we could talk and just conversate and maybe go to thrift stores or any goofy thing, yard sales, to church, go walking, or if it's not and it's a man, I've already lived in so much sin. I don't want to continue on living in sin. So if it is a man and I'm going to slowly date him and get to know him, then at some point I would like to get married to him. But it's like you get lonely, you get really lonely. And some people say, I don't care if I was by myself. I don't care if this. No, because realistically you would care, because realistically you're not by yourself, because most of the people they have some type of friendship with somebody, some support coming from somewhere. But literally 9 times out of 10, when you are a targeted individual, you are in the physical by yourself. If you have someone to conversate with, a decent conversation, you are blessed. If you have someone to go walking with you, you are blessed. If you have someone that gets you, you are blessed. If you have someone that calls and checks on you to see how you're doing, you are blessed. If you have someone to offer you, to bring you clean groceries or to take you out to eat, you're blessed. If you have someone that's helping you pay your rent while you're being a targeted individual, you are blessed. If you have someone that's helping you fix your car when it breaks down while you're being targeted, you are blessed. Because this thing that we are going through is a cold and lonely walk. It wasn't like my life before this was just the best, but it was the best to me. It was the best to me. Going through this is like how you get drafted. That's probably how people used to get drafted back in the day. Like they just be living their life, and then they get a letter in the mail and be like, oh, you got to go to war. You have to sign in less than a week. And if you don't go, you're going to get locked up. That's kind of like that. Like, but you don't get a whole bunch of notice. You don't get a whole bunch of notice. It just slowly just comes to, it's just full force on you. You're like, oh, well, what do we have here? Oh my goodness, this is wild. The ups and downs of this thing, the mental thing, this is cray. My favorite words, I guess, from going through this now is crazy and weird. To me, everything is crazy and weird. Those are the words I have used out to capacity, is crazy and weird. But yeah, so I've learned my lesson. Like, fornication is out the door. Like, just having, like, no. Like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know. That man was sent to take me out. That's what that man was sent to do. I ended up with, he poisoned me. Like, I don't know if he's poisoning my food or my drinks or what he was poisoning, but yeah, he was on his job. I tell you that. So if you are seeing someone or dating someone, or even if you have a friend, like, you gotta be careful. Even if it's a homegirl or a homeboy and y'all just friends, y'all the same sex. If that friend is taking you out to a place to go get food, then fine. Like, you guys, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, most of us aren't going to have a life like that no more. Maybe we're not going to have a mate. Maybe we're not going to have best friends. Maybe that's over for us. Maybe that's just the reality that I have to come forth with. Like, I've been going this long without a mate or a friend. Maybe I just have to find a way to function more out of this. It's like, it's crazy. It's not even, I don't even know. I don't even have the words for all of this stuff. I don't have the words for this. I don't know how these people hid all this stuff. How they're protecting this man, how they're protecting this system. I've had my own issues, upset with God, wondering, like, yes, I haven't been the best parent, I haven't been the best person, but how do you allow this man to do this to my kids? And if he did it to my kids, he did it to other kids. They work together. Him and the CPS people obviously work hand in hand, and the police. So if they've done this to my children, I know that they've done this to other groups of women. And I just kind of ask God, like, I've been shamed. I've been embarrassed, humiliated. And I'm not innocent in any of this, because there's no way I should have been dealing with crazy dudes or a crazy dude. But sometimes you don't really know how crazy a person is. I might drink and laugh at every damn thing. This person might drink and you might see him laugh, but when he leaves you, he committing, murders. I don't know, but I wasn't thinking this. I wasn't expecting this. I don't know. I know it's just not me and my kids going through this. I know there's a whole bunch of kids somewhere going through this. I know it's a whole bunch of parents of the kids going through this. Up against this beast system that has enslaved, have sold us into this beast system. But God has gotten us back. I know God has gotten us back. There is no way. This is crazy. It's like I'm on YouTube I could give the names of this person who did that person who did that. But me telling all this stuff, they all work together. Who's only person that hears me that can do anything about it is God. Of course, I can say Harold Smith did this. That was the first husband that had a part in this, the white boy from Laughlin, Nevada. Him and his evil, wicked family. They walk hand in hand with the police in the CPS system. Then I can say the last guy I was with that I was going to marry that I didn't know was a perp, a full-on perp. Probably the head of the perps where I was at in Reno, Nevada. Robert Griffin from Oak Park, Sacramento, a blood, a gangbanger. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how to tell this, the whole story, how I need to tell the story, because it's just so much. That's why it's like a person that's been through so much mental torture and harassment and stalking and all that stuff. And it's like if you have like, you know, like people go to court and then they have like a witness, and then they harass and stalk the witness so much that the witness now just sounds stupid or dumb when they go talk or get up on the stage, or they stumbling over words. That's how I feel, because there's been so much stuff. Like, where should I start? And I don't know what attracted me to two devil guys. I never seen them. I never went to a, you know, I didn't, they necessarily didn't tell me they were wizards. But from me going through all of this stuff, I assume that's what they are, wizards. Or not wizards. Let me take wizards back. That's giving them too much props. Warlocks. High-ranking warlocks. I will say high-ranking warlocks. High-ranking warlocks. Because the stuff that he did to me, it was like he got armed me. And he was saying all these words against me. When he was saying it, it was like I was almost paralyzed to what he was saying. And he was like physically attacking me verbally. But the stuff was happening. It was like he was an octopus. He unleashed an octopus spirit on me at one time, to where I could feel my organs crushing. I could barely breathe. I had to gasp for air from whatever. Is just me and him in the room, whatever he was saying towards me. This is so crazy. This is like a movie, but it's my life. But not even that is like the most craziest part. Like, I was confronted with evil. I was with evil. I was with evil. If I was confronted with evil with the guy, then I can only imagine what the white guy did to my kids and how the police covered it up. I know that it's got to be some sort of evidence out there, some sort of tapes, some witnesses. It's got to be something out there that's going to come forth. I'm praying and hoping that something out there comes forth. Something is going to come forth. Something is going to come to the forefront when it's regarding me and my kids. It's going to come forth. It's going to come forth. It is going to come forth. It is going to come forth. You know, the one thing I don't understand is how I even got involved with these type of men. And then I look at it as like, I've always been the type of person that wanted to help. Like, you know, I'm the type of person to go get a stray dog and want to like take care of the dog and clean it and feed it and love it and rub it. But I'm thinking, like, if I can go back at why I was attracted to these kind of men, it had to go because my mother had that same spirit in her. It had to go from, and that spirit was jumping from guy to guy. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it was the spirit jumping from guy to guy. I didn't know exactly how demonic they were or how evil they were, but the way they acted was as they needed help. But they really didn't need help. They were trying to kill me. So Harold Smith is a government official. Robert Griffin is a government official. They work for the United States government. They are informants. They are gang stalkers. They are a part of trafficking human beings, child trafficking, human trafficking. They are the corruption. They are the house niggas. Well, the white boy's a white boy, so he ain't a house nigga. But Robert Griffin is a black man. He's a house nigga. That's the only way I can inform. He's a house nigga because he works right up under the white man, right up under the police officer, right up under the government, right up under the man in charge. You know, I thought about this stuff long and hard. I'm just going to keep going through this. Am I going to expose who these people are? Am I going to say their names? Am I going to do this? And it's like, I mean, at this point I have to. I mean, what? I mean, God is the head person in charge. You know, I'm not even asking for anyone to like sympathize with me in this situation, or I just can't understand all this. Like, I don't legitimately understand. Like, you know how you watch TV and it's like you see certain stories and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. That's evil. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. But then for you to go through actual stuff like that, and I'm not saying that like I said, I'm not saying that me and my kids thing is any, I don't know. This gang stalking stuff is a lot. I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth making gang stalking videos anymore. I don't know. I'm just better off just praying to God. Just making prayer videos. You know, but you know, I'm in a kind of messed up situation because I feel like the devil and his workers don't want to do nothing but harm me. And when I go to God's servants and his workers, his children, his obedient children, they just like look down at me and, you know, they don't want to include me. It's harder to get into a church than what I thought, you know. I don't know. So since I really can't get into a church or nothing like that, or I just made my own church with my kids, you know. We pray, we read the Bible, we talk about what we read, and you know. You know, at this point, even if I had God just here giving me a hug, reassuring me that he's with me and letting me know that everything's going to be okay, that'd be great. You know? His presence has been the best feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. You know, I pray that God allows me to trust again. You know, I've already made so many mistakes trying to trust people and allowing people in just to get hurt and then to go through all this stuff that, you know, maybe I'll never have anyone else around us ever again. You know, I don't know. So I just want to share. I don't know. I just thought I'd share. That just startled me. You know, like I said, I won't come on to share this stuff because I hate that me and my kids even have to pass through this or are passing through this. So to me, study talking about gang stalking just keeps it like, it reality checks me, and it just keeps me stuck in this whole whatever this is. So at least when I'm not talking about it and I'm just doing other things, even though it's happening or whatever is going on, I don't know. I just feel like whatever. But when I have to talk about it, it's just making me feel like I somewhat just feel so damn hopeless. Like, I don't want to keep talking about this stuff. Like, this is crazy. That my life is really like this. You know, I try to talk to other targeted individuals, and it's the same thing. Every time I think I found someone to talk to, it's like they clam up, or maybe I say something that offends them, or they're too stuck in their targeting to want to be friends, or I don't know, but it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like the devil has strategically set this up that targets can have no unity within each other. Like, I thought we could have like a whole targeted community and like bond and call one another family, because literally we are all that we have. You know, I think that even pastors, and not all pastors, because I ain't going to say that, but I believe that there are some pastors that view us differently. And that's not to talk about the church, but is that I'm just telling the truth. There's some that view us differently. There's some that don't. I mean, I think everyone should pick up their cross and follow Jesus Christ, because he's the Lord and Savior. That's what I believe. That's what Betty LaTanya Wise believes. I believe that we should stay away from sin, turn away from sin, and repent. That's what I believe. I believe that God is King of Kings. That's what I believe. That's what gives me peace. When I make these videos, it just lets me know like how bored and miserable this is. Like, this is crazy. This is so crazy. This is so odd. Like, I can't even see how people think it's okay to do this to other people. Like, I don't even know what to say no more about none of this, but you know, it was great chatting with y'all, and yeah.